All right, y'all. Today we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business. We're going to check out its local search, its city search, and we're going to see if it's got BSS, yes or no. So we're back here in the GBC universe. So we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, standing for full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pinned video, home video, whatever, somewhere on this profile. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. If our business is rising, if it's growing, we're probably bringing in peeps from this entire spectrum of intent, high intent over on the left, lowest intent over on the right. But if our business is falling, we're missing a chunk of people somewhere. So FSIC will kind of help reorient us what we should be doing. Now here, we only talk about BSS, talk about the highest intent people way over on the left. There's people doing social search and Google search to literally for a boudoir photo shoot in our city right now. Highest intent people closest to the money, easiest to convert. And all the way over on the right, we talk about on our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We talk about BLCS, and there's the lowest intent people, but it's the highest volume of people that exist out there in our city, people that are not currently searching for a boudoir photo shoot right at this second. So we cover both ends, and in our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, we currently only work with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. So boudoir search sameness. BSS is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page 2 or deeper. We're dead, because we know that approximately 80% of all Google searches are page 1 search only. They never even go to page 2. So approximately 80% of the market, the bulk of the market, never even sees page 2, let alone anything deeper. So we got to be on page 1. And guess what? 1 slot on page 1 ain't good enough either, because if we got there's 10 organic slots page 1 or per page on Google. So that means there will most likely be 9 other boudoir photographers all with 1 slot. Well, guess what the buyer's going to do? They're going to click and open everyone's website on page 1, because most likely they ain't going to page 2. So just page 1, contact everyone, get quotes from everyone, and actually, price shop everyone. Everyone's being price shopped against 9 others, and that's not good. It's not good enough. So that is boudoir search sameness. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google is not normal. Yeah, dude, it is not normal to have such few page 1 slots on Google. And it's common, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And the 2 deeper root causes are, 1, basically everyone knows about market saturation, and 1, basically nobody knows about the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, that's when anyone gets a new iPhone, they throw out their Google My Business profile and their website saying they now do boudoir photo shoots. Or they get a new camera, now they start posting in the mom groups on Facebook saying they now do boudoir photo shoots. So market saturation, usually because of new gear, and more sellers, the same number of buyers, make it difficult for every single seller. Now, there's also a big market saturation that happened with COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs, couldn't work, still had to earn money. Everyone's got a camera on their phone, good camera. So a lot of boudoir photographers came into the market then as well, lowering prices, lowering margins for everyone. And the false belief of page 1 equality, this is actually the #1, from what I've seen, the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. And this is basically assuming everyone gets, every boudoir photographer is going to get either 0 or 1 slots, page 1 on Google. And yeah, I had 1 slot there on my website, but another boudoir photographer came in ranked above me. And yeah, I'm now on page 2, but nothing we can do. That's simply how it is. I got to accept it. Hopefully, someone deletes their website on page 1 and Google repushes me up. And so this is a false belief. This is not real. What actually is real is Google will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in 10 days using the methodology I'm going to show in 2 pictures here. So the false belief of page 1 equality, #1 killer of boudoir photography business, is because it makes boudoir photography business owners freeze. They just, they don't even know it's a false belief. They don't even know they don't have to accept it. So they kind of don't even break out of the brain cage to look for solutions, because they didn't even know it was a problem, that they were believing something false. So false belief of page 1 equality. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Look, dude, if we got boudoir search Sameness, we got 0 slots on page 1, we're only on page 2 or deeper. Approximately only 20% of searches are even seeing us. Yeah, we're disappearing, and this is a canary in the coal mine. Disappearing boudoir photographer means our business is also on the path to disappearing as well. This is a canary in the coal mine, kind of the first signal to us that, oh man, we got to make some big changes fast. Otherwise, if we got 1 slot on page 1, not good enough either, and that's because one person could pop up from the older pages or a new boudoir photographer, kick us off. Now we're on page 2, or even if we stay on page 1, we're getting price shopped. We're not standing out. We're being compared to everyone else who also has one link. So we're not standing out. We're not being seen as anything special. So starting our universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Finally, though, we finally have a solution. We know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology, and we know that because I invented it, and I actually used it to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in 10 days. Now, S-cubed methodology, we finally got a solution to solve, market saturation, page 1 equality. And actually, it's the only thing I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully hold back and outcompete market saturation and actually allow boudoir photographer to continue to grow and scale in the face of market saturation. And the reason for that is, let's say we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There's 1 million boudoir photographers total. Everyone's got a website talking about that they're a boudoir photographer. We're one of those boudoir photographers. And we actually realize, hey man, we got to turn up S-cubed methodology to the max. And the way it works is kind of exactly what the name says. We saturate social search with all the highest intent keywords with us being there. And when that happens, it's kind of like, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. When that happens, all those flow into the Amazon. That all flows onto page 1 of Google. Well, if we get enough density. And so let's say we're saturating the first 300 slots across all social search avenues for the highest intent keywords. That flows onto Google. Let's say we're also, simple example, we're also saturating the first 300 slots in Google for the highest intent keywords in our city. Well, that means when a buyer is searching for a boudoir photo shoot right in their city, it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're occupying the first 30 pages of Google. And the other 999,999 boudoir photographers start on page 31 of Google. Ain't no buyers going to page 31. Nope. Ain't no buyers going there. Which means we're the easiest to find. We're showing up everywhere. We are basically kind of the only one peeps can find on organic Google search. And so guess whose business is still growing in the face of 999,999 other boudoir competitors? Ours. So we're dominating social search, which flows into page 1 Google search and actually flows into some other places, which we'll hear about at the end. This is S-cubed methodology. This is the only thing that I've seen that can happen, get the results super fast to stave off and overcome market saturation. The only other thing, there is a second option, is brand. But that takes years, potentially even decades to build. We ain't got decades anymore. We need results ASAP. So S-cubed methodology is the only thing that I'm seeing that fits this criteria. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. A bonus side effect of achieving page 1 visibility is we are kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. Yeah, that's right. So for every single page 1 slot we take from a competitor, that we get on Google, we're taking it from a competitor and we're pushing one more competitor off page 1. But we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. Which means, yeah, we're getting more slots on Google page 1, but guess what? For the 80% bulk of the market that we want to come into us, we're actually disappearing our competitors that we can be price shopped against, and buyers ain't even going to find them. 80% of buyers that we care about ain't even going to find them because they don't go past page 1 of search. So this is a added bonus of using S-cubed methodology, kicking our competitors out. They got to scroll way farther than 80%. Ain't scrolling nowhere, and they ain't scrolling past page 1. Page 1 visibility also activates boudoir search visibility for us. Now, this means we're no longer at 0 1 slots on page 1. We actually have a GBC recommended minimum of getting to 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 for boudoir search visibility. That's because if we got 3 out of 10 on page 1, all our competitors, basically all our competitors will have 1 out of 10 on page 1. And so kind of instinctively, buyers will think, oh, why is Google recommending this person 3 different times compared to everyone else only once? They're probably really good. I should actually check them out first, or be the only person I check out. So we're going to dominate the people that got 1 slot, which is basically everyone. Very, very rare cases, someone else will have 2 slots. Extremely rare, but in that extremely rare case, we are dominating them as well. So that's boudoir search visibility. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So here's our entire micro universe. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality. But finally, yes, we do have a solution for this, our S-cubed methodology, which we created. And we achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and we have boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results use an S-cubed methodology for myself. So I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So when I use S-cubed methodology because I created it, so I know how to do it. And we see organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Organic slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So I did this in 10 days. I went from 0 out of 10 slots, Google page 1 organic search, to 9 out of 10 slots, Google page 1 organic search, in 10 days, purely utilizing S-cubed methodology. Can brand overcome market saturation that fast? There's no time to build a brand. We got AI coming taking people's jobs. There's no time. We're out of time to build a brand. We need a faster solution that gives faster results, get us on page 1 of Google, get us dominating, get us kicking our competitors off. Now, all right, main event here. Let's see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for its its local search and its city search. Also going to see if it is hitting the recommended GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. All right, so we're going to Rancho Cordova, California. All right, so here we go. We're in Rancho Cordova, California. And let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. No, that doesn't count. All right, so we got 0 out of 10. So we got BSS for our local search, and we are not hitting the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. We're going to go to our city search now, larger city search, Sacramento, California. Let's check it out here. Let's see. All right, we got 1. Boom, nice. City's always harder than local. So, all right, we got 1 out of 10. And let's see. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 local. So we do still got BSS for that one. All right, so final result, we got, so local we got 0 out of 10. So we got BSS. City, we got 1 out of 10. We also have BSS, and for both, we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. So if you're a boudoir photographer and you've got BSS boudoir search sameness for your own business, you're seeing the market's getting more and more saturated over time, and you feel like you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, or gonna become disappearing, because we'll talk about it in like 10 seconds. And you also see that the page 1 equality is a false belief, like everyone kind of automatically accepted because there was no like word to describe it, to say, hey, I believe this is true or not true, but now we got a word to describe it. And you're seeing the way AI is creeping in, more and more people being laid off, which, what was the last time that happened? COVID, what happened? Massive influx of boudoir photographers, massive influx, massive supply, all fighting for the same eyeball, approximately the same number of buyers. So it's getting harder and harder for each boudoir photographer that enters the market. And you're saying, okay, it looks like I do need the S-cubed methodology to kind of preempt or prepare myself for AI pushing more boudoir photographers into the market, which means there's going to be more competition for page 1. on Google search, but if I can preempt that, get there already, and it's probably already happening right now as we speak, then we can be prepared to not become a disappearing boudoir photographer. We can achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, even though more are probably going to be joining, and achieve boudoir search visibility, and get the extra bonuses on the back end where kind of the more these thematic keyword columns are attached to our brand throughout social, things like that, social search, and the higher chance we show up in, AI overview search here at the top of Google searches, and the higher chance we show up among AI search in general, ChatGPT search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, Claude search, Perplexity search, whoever. When we have these like thematic keyword pillars entwined with us across all our social channels, ranking on Google, this is where the AIs pull from. So we're increasing the probability to show up in all these searches as a back-end benefit. And we're also noticing that if someone else starts using S-cubed methodology for their boudoir photography business before us in our city, all those front-end benefits, page one Google, kicking competitors off could happen to us. And those back-end benefits, them showing up in AI search instead of us. And then, well, you wouldn't be able to work with me because I'm only working with one person per city. So you'd have to figure out S-cubed methodology on your own and then implement it all on your own. And you'd have to actually meet the work output of the other boudoir photographer using it in conjunction with me and exceed us to catch up and overtake us before we overtake page one on Google, kind of push it as far as we want to. And so you've decided, all right, it's better to simply be a first mover because you need this on your way to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. Right now the hospital's closed. My DMs are closed. Cannot get in even if you wanted to. But shoot me a DM for when I do open up the doors. And we'll see if you qualify. We gotta have some questions. Gotta make sure I'm not working with anyone else in your city. And yeah, we'll see if you qualify.